Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Roadrunner.com. We are a couple hours away from the Fed rate cut. No, I don't believe it affects anything at all. In a rigged market, it doesn't matter what the Fed does. But it is a spin point for those riggers who want you to believe that the price of silver and gold is going up or down because of what the Fed did. It's not. It's not a freely traded market. So what we will see is a lot of volatility, banks trading back and forth with each other to set a price to fool the market into believing one thing or another. I don't know. They could make it go up, they could make it go down, they could make it stay where it is. Well over 90% of all trades are just the same banks trading back and forth with each other to set the price. So, although I do believe that they use these moments in time to make bigger moves. So, the big question is a half percentage point or a quarter percentage point. I don't know, but it will be the spin. So if you see silver crashing down in the next couple hours, it'll be the spin. Oh my God, the Fed didn't raise as much and silver is going to crash because it was already priced in, something like that. Or if it does the opposite, they'll say, the Fed is raising too quick. And that's why the price of silver is going up. That is not why the price of silver is going up. As a matter of fact, the commercials have, they're in there, I think at this moment, they're in a very small short position for them, which is big. This is when the bigger moves happen. But it's not the most important thing going on in silver right now. Not at all. Yesterday, India announced a massive amount of silver imports. Let me show you. Oh, by the way, if you didn't see yesterday's discussion on the Road to Ruta, go watch yesterday's video. Silver alert, leading silver paste supplier says over 400 million ounces of physical silver used for solar panels annually. And where do I get this number? From Solumet, which is the largest silver paste manufacturer in the world. They're literally the only entity that would know exactly what goes into how much silver is deposited on every solar panel. And where did I get the 400 million? I took what their numbers were, the actual numbers today for TopCon modules, and I used 66%, which is 2/3, which is what TopCon is going in at. They think it'll rise to 90% next year. But I think on average we're about 66%. I extrapolated that out. I did an AI analysis because I mean you could do the homework in your math, but you got to convert milligrams to troy ounces and all that stuff. So the numbers, and the reason I did this is that the Metals Focus, which is the main determiner for the Silver Institute of what their numbers say. The Silver Institute has two people in the whole building, shall we say, and one is just a consultant, really, and that's the head of Hecla Mining, who came out right before their silver survey and said there was 300 million ounces last year, which I said, well, it's not quite that. It's more than that, but it's a good start. And then Silver Institute came in at 193 million. So their own chairman of the board of the Silver Institute just weeks before said it was over 300, and then they published this report that says 193. Anyway, we're just talking about the most important application of industrial silver. Probably second most would be the electric cars, which we don't know that number. The guys like Jeffrey Christian will say it's less than 2 ounces for every electric car. I'm thinking it's 5 to 10 ounces, but hey, it doesn't really matter. If you're buying an electric car for $50,000, do you really care if you pay an extra, couple $100 for the silver content? No, you don't. So there's a lot of that going on. But they did say one interesting thing that came out of the Solumet article, which just came out 2 weeks ago. So there's no excuse for Metals Focus to miss that. I think the most important thing to me is it did show over the last 10 years there has been thrifting. Not to the point that the Silver Institute and Jeff Christian will tell you, which is like 5% per year. It's a little less than that, but not far off. So I was surprised at that. I didn't think they were thrifting that much, but they are. But what they also did, in bragging about how much silver they've thrifted out of solar panels, they also told us how much is in a TopCon 182 millimeter solar panel. And I ran the numbers, and so this means this is confirmed numbers. Over 400 million ounces will be used this year, probably closer to 450, but that's I don't know that part because if we know the TopCon, we know how much TopCon's going in, we know how many ounces per watt in TopCon. We got to estimate what PERC is and the other technologies. But it's not far off. It's somewhere between 400 and 450 if we do 600 gigawatts this year, which, of course, nobody other than Bloomberg NEF has determined we're going to do 599 or something. I was always saying between 6 and 650, and the Metals Focus is always like, oh, no, it's going down. And it is done on purpose. It is illegal to do it, to falsify information for it's fine to be wrong, but to literally change historical numbers to make it look like we're not using physical silver, it is illegal in commodity law. Do we have a regulator who would ever prosecute that case? No, because they're part of the plan. If they were saying the opposite, if the opposite was true and the Silver Institute was saying, oh my God, it's so high, and was lying about that time and time again, yeah, they probably would prosecute, but not on the short side. So anyway, very, very interesting times. All right, let's get to the most important thing that came out just the other day. Silver imports in India, $1.3 billion was spent on silver. Holy crap, that comes to with an average price of $28.50. I did the calculation. I do the calculation every month on the road to Ruta, by the way. I'll talking more about this tomorrow with Jenny Moonstone on the private road. That should be really good discussion. This is up 727% since last year. Don't forget, guys like Jeff Christian, guys like Metals Focus and the Silver Institute are all saying, oh, yeah, last year was a big year for solar, but it's peaked and it'll be going down. No, they are mandated. The whole world is mandated. Whoever signed up for COP28 is mandated, no matter what the cost, to put in massive amounts of solar panels between now and 2030. That's why it keeps going up. That's why they keep building manufacturing plants. Everybody else is lying. I've been screaming this for over 2 years now. I know you're tired of it, but it has to be exposed to the world. They have to know that over 100% of the metal that's pulled out of the ground, over 800 million ounces every year, is being consumed in industrial now. I believe that this number put us over the top. If you include all the other types of industrial silver. So there you go. It is a big deal. It's a massive deal. And I don't care what they do with the price, because the cheaper the price, the more India is going to buy. So India bought 46 million ounces imported last month. I mean, they've done that in the past in a year, last month. So that puts the total this year at 169 million ounces have been imported into India. This was not expected by Jeff Christian, not expected by Metals Focus, not expected by the Silver Institute. And we all know we're in a massive deficit already. It's bigger than what they tell you, but this just puts it over the top. The old record for India is 300 million ounces. Everybody was just shocked at that. We could hit that again. If they slam the price of silver down, especially below the 200-day moving average, we will hit that. Because India, back in February, they did 76 million ounces. I think it's the largest 1 month import ever. And that's when they slammed the prices down. When they slammed the prices down in August, that level has moved up. So it's not under the 200-day that they're looking for. If you look at what was done in August, let's see. It's right here. Right here is where they bought when it went down to $26 and then went back up to $29. India bought 46 million ounces in this time right down here. Now I took the average for the month, which is 2850, so it's probably more like 45 million. Oh, sorry, 50 million ounces last year, but I don't know what time during the month they bought. They tend to buy at the lows because they're not stupid. If you look at the whole year, if you go back to January, in here is when they bought, January they bought 20 million, and February they bought 76 million. So right in here they bought 76 million and then 33 million. So when it's down here, that was massive. But at the time, it was literally, it was just below the 200-day moving average and the 100-day moving average. Now we're above. Now they're buying below because they bought right in here, massive amounts in August, right in here. They're buying anywhere below the 100-day moving average, and that'll go up because they need the metal. They need the metal because they're trying to live up to their obligations in COP28 to make massive amounts of solar, and they're going to do it. It doesn't matter what the price of silver is. You can thrift massive amounts. They're still going to make solar panels, and it's more efficient this way. By the way, the cost of silver, according to Solomet, the cost of silver in each solar panel is less than 10% now. So it's not a gigantic cost. If the price of silver doubles, if the price of silver doubles, they're still going to make the same amount of solar because it's used in such tiny amounts. So let's just say you got to add another, if it's I think it was 3.5 per cell. Anyway, if the price of silver doubles, they're not going to stop making the TopCon panels. They'll try a little harder, but it will go from 10% to 20%, or probably less, 18% of the cost. And that is not a killer for it. They're not going to stop. It's all about efficiency for solar panels because you got to project out over 25, 30 years to make up your costs. And if the efficiency is low, you're fucked. You're screwed, excuse me. All right, so why? Why is India all of a sudden buying when it's crossing over the 200-day or 100-day moving average instead of the 200-day moving average that they were doing in the beginning of the year? That's very simple. It's cheaper for them to do it. Don't forget this article I talked about last month. India's silver imports to double on demand for solar investment. Well, they didn't double. They went up, the month before, they went from 5.6 million ounces to 46 million ounces. So that's 8 times. So everybody's way too low, always. And the reason is that, let me show you right here. India slashed duty imports on silver in July from 6% to 6% from 15%. That's 10% right off the top. So yeah, they're going to buy as much silver as the silver riggers allow them to buy under the 100-day moving average. So what does that get to? So we get to today where we're like, oh my God, the Fed's coming out. Let's say they raise just 0.25%. And they try to slam the price of silver, saying, oh, this is not good for silver. Anything under that 100-day moving average, India doesn't look at the ridiculousness of the Fed interest rate. Anything under the 100 million, they are going to buy with both hands, both feet. Every appendage, they are going to be loading up on massive amounts of silver. And more people are competing for that silver. All the warehouses are being drained right now because it's coming out not fast enough out of the mines, obviously. If Mexico were to stop open pit mining like they've threatened, silver could go to $100 overnight. You have to have your physical silver in your possession now. This is the end game. Yes, the end game took a lot longer than I ever thought. When I got into this in 1999, that I think I'd spend 25 years exposing the silver cartel, the gold and silver riggers, saying, oh my God, we're so close. Watching all the derivatives play out and all the criminality. It was only Trump that busted J.P. Morgan and those guys for rigging the silver market. It's not like nobody knew. Everybody knew. And Jeff Christian still won't admit that the price of silver and gold were rigged in the past and are being rigged right now. But it is my opinion that with this massive physical demand for silver, I mean, it's right there. The Silver Institute said only 193 million ounces was put in solar last year, and they're projecting 212 million ounces this year, which is so ridiculous, beyond ridiculous. But hey, they've been wrong. There's nothing we can do about that because the CFTC won't do their job. But we can see what the rest of the world is doing about that. And oh, by the way, they're loading up on massive amounts of silver. And this will not stop. It will not stop. So, Jeff Christian, you're wrong. Mainly Metals Focus in the Silver Institute, you're wrong. You can publish as many articles as you want, which they did. For example, right here. Despite emerging challenges in PV silver, demand set to hit a new high. There's no challenges. Solar is going to be up 35% this year. There's no challenge there. The challenge is you trying to, make 2 + 2 equal 3, and it doesn't equal 3. It equals 4. Actually, they're saying 2 + 2 = 2, because they are 1/2 of where they should be, over 400 million ounces, and they're at 212. And I think well over. And that's just solar. If they lie about solar and they lie about it, then they lie about everything else, which we see if you go to roadtoruta.com. I circled in red everything they lied about. They changed all these historical numbers to fit a narrative. That, on the face of it, is fraudulent, misleading investors, and illegal under commodity law, if the CFTC ever were to do anything, which is highly unlikely. Anyway, that's what I got for you. I'm going to do a lot of private road stuff as this insanity kicks in. Keep an eye on the Fed interest rate announcement. It will have no effect on the true trading of silver, because the true trading of silver is a handful of banks trading back and forth with each other. And you can see that in the volumes, by the way, on the COMEX. So that's what I got for you today. Go check out the front page of Road to Ruta. If you read and listen to the interviews down here between myself and the head of Silver Eagle sales at the U.S. Mint, by the way, U.S. Mint is knee-deep in this stuff. I believe the U.S. Mint is using HSBC as their hedge book. Yes, the U.S. Mint is the largest hedger. Doesn't mean they have the largest short position. It's probably BlackRock with Evie Hambro and that group going through the commercial banks. But they are the largest true hedger because theoretically they have metal, although they lost $100 million on a hedge book in a year where the price of silver went down, which should be impossible if they're doing the hedge book right. But I do believe HSBC is running their hedge book, and HSBC has been the number one deliverer of physical silver on the COMEX all year. And that won't end. They have it is very appropriate for HSBC to be ultimately to be taken down because the price of silver went up, because it was HSB that began this evil game of suppressing the price of silver in the 1850s as Hong Kong Shanghai Bank. I've been through that many times. Anyway, go to Road to Ruta, learn as much as you can about especially solar silver. That's what's going to save the silver stackers. It's not going to be buy-in metal on the retail side. It's going to be the solar consumption, and we're looking at 400 to 450 million ounces, at least if it hits 600. I think it'll go probably to 650 gigawatts installed, because that's what they're required to do under COP28, which is like the green people, the environmental promises. And when you have those environmental promises, you don't want to be, lagging. So that's why China's putting so much money into their solar installations. All right. This is Bix Weir. Crazy days. Hang on. I'll talk to you later.